Hey, yo.
Yo, 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 what's up, broski?
Man, it's another day in paradise.
Another day in
You know it.
paradise, man. Yeah, that's good, man. Did you have a busy day?
Yeah, had a good day.
A good day,
Walked in
busy day,
some,
or just
you know, it is what I
yeah,
call it, but walked in some business, had some good conversations with the company, kind of forecasting the market, what's to come, and I got my Jeep started up today, man. Got my Jeep started up today. So next step is getting all the glass vacuumed out, and after that we will get a new window.
I
So
don't, I don't think, I don't think the crowd, I don't think the crowd understands the struggle that has been your Jeep.
look, all I'm saying, I refuse to pay someone to do what I can do, even though my key situation, I like, it has been a struggle. It's been 2 weeks. Insurance is a scam. That's all I got to say
Mo-
about it.
Moral of the story is don't buy a Jeep.
Nah, man, it's just another. It's like logistics with hands. Even though I didn't do anything with my hands, but it's nice to be able to at least try and attempt to learn these new cars.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, at least you got your Jeep figured out. And even though you're not going to talk about yourself, again, congratulations on the good news that you got from work today, bro. So,
Oh yeah,
uh,
man, and some
I,
and some good import business. That's always a plus. Got some good things in the works. So I'm very excited. Very excited.
I was talking about the meeting with your bosses, but anyway, moving on.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Same and all, man. It's always good to be appreciated. Shout out Freight Mango.
yeah. Man, my day's alright, dude. Just a normal day. Nothing exciting. I mean, I guess the most exciting thing I had happen today was I got to file a claim on an LTL load. They,
Hell
they
yeah.
fucking
Let's go.
thank you and fuck you, FedEx. I really appreciate you not doing me or my customer any goddamn favors. So, dude, I should pull the pictures up of this stuff, man. Like it looks like they pushed it off the back of the fucking truck, and then when all the stuff fell out, the driver like stood back 20 feet and treated it like it was like that dunk tape thing at a carnival and just chunked the shit back into the container that it fell out. I mean, it was like and then like delivered it like here you go.
Did
So
you did you pay for insurance at least?
I mean it comes insured with who we do it through, and so I mean it's not like super valuable. It's just I don't know. It's still the point, man. It's only the second claim I ever had with LTL, but I mean I just hate claims, and I also hate when I want to say I told you so to a customer, because
I told her so.
everybody likes LTL because LTL rates are cheap, man. You can ship a standard size pallet from coast to coast for under $2,000. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
great. It's like I tell people, man, like that stuff goes on and off 10 different trucks. 50 different people fucking touch it, and it's thrown in with 20 other people's freight on the truck, and nobody cares about your stuff. Like they just don't. And this was clear evidence of that, and the
Um,
also unfortunate part is it was going to a job site, and the customer, my customer, was waiting on this stuff so they could finish this one particular section. So concrete and some other stuff could be laid around this massive bed they're doing. And now they can't do that. So, now they're going to have to work around these concrete crews anyway. So, whatever, just a disaster, they just claim shit, LTL shit,
well,
typical.
it
So,
goes to say, man, how much value do you put on your freight?
I,
Is it
I, I
is
agree.
it cheap or is it important?
I'm with you, man. But hey, the guy's been shipping LTL forever, and he doesn't want to change. And the margins I have with him are small, unlike a lot of LTL freight. Usually LTL stuff you can do pretty good margins, man. A couple $100. You know what I mean? Maybe
Yeah.
1,000, depending on how you play the game. But this guy, he could book LTL shipments himself. like he has been forever. He's just to the point, he just kind of doesn't want to deal with it no more. You know what I mean? And he told me, he's like, hey, he's like, give me a shipment, tack on 100, 150 bucks, and I'll give you 3 or 4 a week. All right, cool. Hey, I'm good with that, bro. You know what I mean? And each one of his shipments is like 400, 500, 600 bucks. You know what I mean? And I usually tack on 100, 150, and it's good. It's, good little constant freight, man. So can't be too. Who's that? Chris Marple, man. He was one of the carriers that we had on last Friday. LTL, dude, you're right. 10 terminals, 30. Man, I shipped something from Washington to Florida for a customer. Never done LTL with them. They've never done LTL. But I told him, I said, hey, this thing's not important, so forth. So on. Point is the shit made it to like Idaho and got stuck there for 3 days because of the weather. And I'm like, dude, come on, bro. Like, these guys dropped all the time. I want to hear none of that shit. So,
dude, I had LTL run from like Chattanooga down to Phoenix, and Roadrunner said it had been delivered. A month later, I got a call from my customer saying that their customer never received the pallet across the border. And I was like, well, I don't know what's going on there, dude. $500 out of pocket because fucking Roadrunner lost the pallet, had to get a driver to go in there and find it for me. LTL is tricky, man. It's tricky.
Yeah, I don't like it, LTL. But what I was saying about that Idaho thing is, after it sat there for 3.5 days, my customer said, hey, look, just go get it picked up, man. And then after we were done with it, he told me, he said, I never, ever want to do LTL again. He's like, I will pay the extra, whatever it costs, to get one pallet dedicated on a Sprinter truck. And that's what I did, dude. It was like one crate, because they do construction stuff for food manufacturers. But it was like one crate I did. I had a Sprinter van go in there. Nice lady, dude. Pick that thing up and deliver that shit like next day, man. I mean, it was.
Yeah, if it needs to be there, don't run LTL. Don't ask me for an ETA. It says 7 days, might be 30 days. I don't know.
Dude, you're so right, man. That's another thing I hate is the transit days. And it's like, dude, it's stupid. It takes you 2 days to make it from North Carolina to Tennessee. I could have put that shit on a Sprinter van and had it there like that afternoon. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, bro, if they don't have a truckload to run from terminal to terminal, they'll let that shit sit. And they will never tell you. They will wait.
1,000% correct, my friend. So let's go ahead and move on into our commercials for our sponsors, and then we'll get into our news. And tonight, our news article is actually going to spin us off into the subject matter for tonight's shows, which are unions. And we've talked about this a little bit before on the show, but it's been more related to other content and subject matter on the show, not specifically just unions. So we're going to dabble in that. Hopefully we get some people watching and chime in with some of the people watching will chime in with their comments and give us some of their input. And, we can have a really good discussion here. So with that said, first we are going to talk about AccuBid Pro. Amazing app, lease operators and owner operators. You guys need to find out what your cost per mile is so you know at what level you're profitable at. And AccuBid Pro, their app does that, is available in the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. Their information is rolling across the bottom of the screen. You want to give them a shout. Tell them that the Logistics Lounge sent you over.
Don't be a victim of cheap freight anymore. Take back control. These are turbulent times for the transportation industry, with companies merging or even closing their doors. Whether you're going out on your own or leasing on with a new company, know your operating costs. Look out for you and bid better with AccuBid Pro.
There you go. AccuBid Pro. Info still at the bottom of the screen. Give them a shout. Tell them that you heard it from Pedro Potato and Dr. Drizzy Dre. Our next sponsor is Freight Management Systems. They have a TMS out there for all of you logisticians. Need help getting your loads together. Has a cloud for all your documents. They have an app to sign and send and sign documents. They integrate with a ton of other agencies to kind of pull everything into one place and help you get things done and get better visibility on your operations. Henry Sheldon will actually be coming back on the show in November. I talked to him today, And Hunter, he said they're going to have a whole new website. They're changing their logo, and they added some updates. So when they come back on in November, dude, it's going to be freaking awesome, man. Him and I were DMing today on LinkedIn, so really freaking excited about that. Bada bing, bada boom, baby. So with that all said and done, we're going to go ahead, get into our little news article. And let me find it here. Get our little news article, and then we'll pretty much just spin right off into our topic for tonight, because this is actually what made me think about it. So here we go. All righty, Spidey. So I was cruising today on my favorite logistics journalism site, Commercial Carrier Journal, and I stumbled upon this article. And I was going to talk about this one because of all the acquisitions and mergers and stuff that's been going on, and we kind of touched on that continuously throughout the show. But ironically, reading through the article, you get to 2 paragraphs down, and the article completely changes direction, and it talks about, as you can see, drivers at a company called Restaurant Technologies in Dallas are voting to join Teamsters. Go Jimmy Hoffa. Anyway, they're voting to join Teamsters, and this is becoming a really, really big thing in the industry right now. For as far as the carrier driver side is the unions. They've always been there. Unions have been around for quite a long time, but it's really starting to gain a lot of momentum over the last few years. And I've actually got a couple of the articles pulled up at the top there, as you can see. It's got some data and stuff that I'll run through later on in the show, and we'll touch a brief history on unions as well. But this to me is a big thing as well, because Texas is a right to work state, and we are not a big union state here at all. Really no states in the South really are, but Texas is really, really strong against it. So just was weird. I saw that, that there were these people, these drivers in Dallas, trying to unionize. And as you see, it's small. And if you remember, we talked about another company a few weeks or a week ago that they also only had like 30 drivers. Remember, it was a company that had been bought out during a merger, and the drivers that company, like 30 of them, they wanted to unionize in a place where there are no other unions. So, this is another example of, like I said, this stuff really starting to become popular and gain momentum in the industry, in the industry as far as the drivers go. So. And, if you don't know who the Teamsters are, they're pretty much the biggest union in the country as far as I know, except maybe the United Auto Workers. I'm really not up on my union statistics, so I may be wrong. But, Teamsters been around for a very, very long time. Obviously they're forever associated with Jimmy Hoffa and the Mafia. But, to move off into our subject, and we're going to try to be completely bipartisan here. Personally, I'm not a union guy. I really just do not see the point in them. But a lot of people are, and I can see their point of why they find it valuable. So, with all of that stuff right there said, our little news article here, really short to the point, but these guys, Restaurant Technologies, looking to unionize, and we're going to keep up on this. I actually have a alert set for anything that goes off with Restaurant Technologies.
I mean, dude, just looking at it, man, that could be huge, because look at how many terminals they have, how many restaurants that they serve, that have how many franchises. I mean, even as small as this start is, if it catches fire, dude, and it works, it could definitely, bring a big change.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man, and that's part of one of the things that I don't want to touch on. I mean, I guess actually we can go ahead and just spill right into that. Is as you can see right there, it talks about the the restaurants that they deliver to, and what they do as well, they pick up cooking oil from eateries, and they take it to be recycled and stuff like that, which that's a huge thing. There's lots of companies that do that. And so you see that they take care of McDonald's, Whataburger, Texas Roadhouse, Chipotle, and I'm sure they take care of a lot of other restaurants, in the other areas they have. But like you said, dude, they're big. They service a lot of people, man. And
I mean, it's these tank haul drivers too, man. That's specialized. That's niche. Yeah. So like, not a lot of cats out there, not a lot to pick from. So if they get organized and they do it right, that would be a big shakeup.
You're right. You're right, man. And then I don't want to make it sound like if these guys go on strike, then all these restaurants won't get any of their grease picked up, because there's always someone looking to fill in that spot. But the point is,
in the sewer.
for those one or two runs that stuff doesn't get picked up, that's going to cause an issue to the restaurants. And as well, the company is most likely going to lose business from that. If we're all customers here, if you're paying someone for a service or for a product and neither one of those is delivered properly, your service sucks and your product sucks, then you're not going to continue doing business with that company or that person, So the ramifications that for some of these union stuff going on in these strikes, and the way that they're able to control a company, which is why I don't like it. I mean, I'm not a super capitalist, but I do believe as a business owner, it is your right to run your business the way that you see fit. As you're abiding by all laws, labor laws, and everything. That's the way it is. And here in America, it's a free country. If you don't like where you work, go find a job somewhere else.
I mean, but I don't think
easier said, or that's easier said.
You can always be independent. You don't have to be a part of the union. It's your choice to join that union.
It is, man, but that's also something else that we're going to talk about here, man. Is I looked that up, to see what the rules and laws are as far as an employee with a union and a company with the union, and so that was another thing that we're going to talk about. But to move on from this article right here, let me see which one of these is the pros and cons. All right. So I did just some quick Google searches a little bit ago. And again, forgive me, I am not a union expert at all. I'm not for them, so I don't look into them. It's really not something I care about. But I did look this stuff up to try to be bipartisan and give both points of views on it. And I will say that I understand a lot of the pros that go into a company being unionized and workers being unionized. But at the same time, I agree with a lot of the cons as well. So, the first one is, and I looked across several different websites and they all pretty much have the same thing. So that's why I'm just showing this specific one. You could go and Google whatever you want and you'll find the same exact pros and cons. So, it talks about that unions increase pay and benefit for workers, which is true. They do. They come in, and just like the thing with Yellow before they shut down, the United Auto Workers bill that's going on right now, all the strikes you've ever heard, strikes are always about the same thing. They're always about paying benefits. They ain't never about anything else. So they do help with that. But I will put the con in there. They, in my opinion, they get it done by strong arming a company and pretty much holding a gun to their head, saying, hey, if you don't do this, we're going to strike and nothing's going to get produced and you're not going to make money. So, there's the con to that.
Let me touch on this from a supply chain point. So Vancouver, the Port of Vancouver, they went on strike for weeks and then they tried to come to an agreement and then they didn't agree to that agreement. So they went right back on strike. But you know what everybody did? They just went around. They figured out new solutions. So if I'm just thinking from this standpoint, if any trucking union does come around and they go on strike, somebody else is going to pick up that load, and then even with the benefits or increased pay, are you going to go to these shippers or brokers or how are you going to make sure that they get that paid? Are they going to do an Uber Freight and just go under for years and years and years, hoping that it pans out? Are my taxes going to pay for these motherfuckers to sit on the side of the road and strike?
So, anyway, back on the pay thing. I did some of the statistics I looked up. It did say that out of whatever data they had pulled, that members of a union, I believe, had like a 5% higher annual salary or hourly income than people that were not union. So and it said that more people that worked at companies that were unionized took part in benefits. Not that they weren't offered, just they took part in the benefits at more companies that were unionized. So, and as someone who is a big person about benefits, you know, health, dental, 401k, sick leave, PTOs, vacation, all that stuff, man. I'm totally first people getting that, man. You know, I tell you, there was nothing that I loved more back when I was getting vacation occurred as a truck driver than taking, you know, having 4 weeks vacation and taking a week off every other month. You know, or PTO days at the end of the year, having a stack of like 15 PTO days and getting paid out at $35 an hour for fucking 10 hours of PTO or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude, in McLean, they had an hourly rate, and I say 30, it was 8 hours. And I think my limit was $34 an hour. So, dude, I would cash in like, dude, they would send me a check for fucking thousands and thousands of dollars, bro.
For nothing.
I saved them, you know what I mean? In McLean, you accrued like PTOs for all kinds of shit. Like every holiday, you didn't get holiday pay, you got a PTO, which was technically pay. You know what I mean? And you
yeah, but McLean's also like not just your Joe Schmo of carriers. You know,
no,
with a union, are they going to give that to every Dick, Tom, and Jerry that fucking says, "Oh, hey, I'm a truck driver, I deserve this"? Like,
we unionized at McLean, and I'll say that like I'd heard some talk about it, but personally, like, dude, there wasn't nothing more that they damn union would have done for us, bro. Like, dude, there were guys there making 100K a year easy. Now the work ain't easy. You know, you're unloading a truck with the dolly and shit, and even though you work 3 days a week, those days are like 24-hour days. You know what I'm saying?
Get you out of the seat and stretch a little bit.
Yeah. But what is dude, the benefits were fucking amazing. I mean, I had full medical, dental, vision, $500,000 life insurance for me, my wife, my kid, you know, all this stuff, and I think I paid like $250 or $200 a check for that stuff. But you know, I mean, so it would have been pointless to do that. I mean, they just kind of threw money at us drivers because, you know, we were the most important thing to them. So even though the job sucked with a lot of other aspects, like being a driver there, as far as the benefits and the pay, I mean, you really couldn't ask for more.
Yeah.
So
well, let's get to pro number 2 here.
Yeah, I am. I was just about to do that. So unions, you know, it says they help set up formal processes for disputes and complaints. You know, anyone. I'm sure everyone has been in a position before at a job, you know, where they have something they want to bring up, you know, complain about a fellow employee or a way the company's being operated, you know, whatever it may be. And, you know, you're afraid to bring that up, you know, obviously because you may be treated differently, or it may not be taken seriously, or you may be punished, whatever the case may be. You know, it says unions do help you set up formal processes and disputes. You know, to bring up, as it says, your grievances and so forth, so on. So, you know, that's a good thing, you know, I guess, having an advocate or intermediary involved there. But Hunter, you want to say something? Because I have just one thing I want to say about this part, and that's it.
I'm just waiting until point 3 to really bring it home why this will never work.
All right, cool, man. Awesome. So my one point about this, and I can't remember who said it, but I know I was working at PFG and they were trying to unionize, but this one old fucking driver told me, he said, when they tried giving him the little card for him to unionize, he threw that shit back at me, said, I don't need to pay no fucking body to talk to me.
Exactly, dude. Look, man, talking about a single agreement between drivers for disputes and complaints. Make that law. Yeah, fucking right. You telling me that Bob that's been running his own truck for 30 years and freaking James that's been driving for Swift for 2.5 years are going to have the same point of view? Like, yeah, right, dude. I just can't see that happening. Like, and why pay if you're good at what you do? Like, are brokers ever going to unionize?
No, it'll never happen.
Exactly, because we know what we're good at, and it's not an easy industry. So, like, if you can't cut the cheese and you're not willing to go the extra effort to at least, I mean, you got to stick it out. You got to stick it out in this game.
I just don't think unions see any value in our part of the industry, probably.
This is going to be a good shit talk fest.
So
right here.
this one right here is one that I do not agree with. And I'm not a real political person, but I do follow politics and stuff. And I will tell you that I stopped going to a church when I went to church because they brought in some political person and had them speak to me during church. Never went back ever again.
Yeah.
I don't come here to listen to some jackass talk about what
I can talk to Jesus at any point, man. Church is at home.
I worked for another company, and I will say the person they brought in, I aligned with their views, but that's not what I'm there for. I worked for a company, man, where again I aligned with the guy's views, but man, he crossed the line too much, too often with his political views in the office. And it's like, dude, like this just isn't the place for that. You're the boss, so you're getting away with it. But
see, this comes back to my point on Pro 2, quote unquote Pro 2. Like, you're telling me that all these drivers in the union are gonna look up to a board of guys to tell them what to do. And then for a fact there's going to be some cat that stands up in the back and he's like, fuck this, we're doing our own thing. And then what happens? Just a divide that is unnecessary between drivers. Like, you cannot tell me that these cats are going to really sit back and be like, yeah, let's do this. No.
Yeah,
drivers talk shit on drivers like brokers talk shit on brokers.
Yeah, and and I'll say that this political thing, man, I'm just, I'm not for it, man. And you see in all the political races, man, everybody wants unions to back them and all that stuff like that. And personally, I mean, if I'm paying you money, whether I agree with your political views or not in my union, my money should not go to be supporting some fucking politician. Like, it shouldn't at all. That's my money I'm giving you to set up funds for me and do stuff for me, not for you to give to some yahoo just so he can pass a law that benefits the union on their end, not my end at all. You know what I mean? And they say that it's about pushing labor laws, and some of it may be. I don't know.
You take that political as like it's actually political, or just like the internal.
No, it's actually like, political. It talks about to advance political causes that for working people, like it's for politics.
Okay, yeah,
it's not internal. It is literally for politics, like for them to lobby politicians and give money to politicians. And again, like, even if I aligned with their stuff, I don't agree with that. Like my money should not go. You want to do that? You figure out another way to get that money to lobby that politician and do that. And the sucky thing is it says, there was another article, and maybe this one up here, but it talks about that even if you agree with it, like, you can't opt out. You can't like say, I don't want my money to go to political contributions, whatever. Like, you're just stuck with it. So, there's another, I will say that is the constant that I see in unions, that it's the majority is what it is. And I get that, man. It is in a lot of stuff.
I mean, that just makes me think about, when was it, 2 years ago or so, when the drivers stormed Ottawa and freaking up in Canada, and what's his name, the prime minister up there just ran. And dude, like, that was like, I downloaded this like app that you could hear all the drivers hopping on, like, yeah, we're taking this motherfucker over. Like, that's the shit that I'm here for, like, because they were really fighting for their jobs. You can't just shut down the world, shut down the borders, say I can't go out and make my money, but you're not going to make any changes here. Like, that's the shit that I would be down for, like. But when it comes to like, oh, I need to be paid more, I need more days off. Well, man, come on, like.
Yeah.
You picked
So,
your job.
Joseph said, "Hey man, thank you, Joseph. I keep meaning to call." Me and Joseph, like, we keep telling each other, "Hey, I'm gonna call you tomorrow," and then we never call. And then like 2 days later, we DM each other, "Hey, can you call me tomorrow?" And then we never call.
Justin, you gotta hop on the show, brother.
He is, man. He's been traveling a lot. Like, we've been talking through LinkedIn. He's been traveling a lot for work and stuff, and so it's just trying to align things. You know what I mean? And you know how it is, bro. If you've ever traveled, you don't want to open your laptop and be jumping on and talking to some, yahoos about some nonsense. So
I'm sitting at the airport bar paying $30 for a whiskey coke.
yeah, right. So to the final pro, as you see, it says unions set norms that extend to the rest of the economy. And I will actually use this to kind of touch on a little bit of history of the unions. Unions, actually, they really, really started out with a spectacular, I would say complete selfless, but almost selfless purpose. And what that stems from is in the mid 19th century, we had just atrocious labor conditions. I mean, children were working, sorry, brain fart. God, it happens all the time.
As they should be.
Yeah, right. We had, we had children as young as, I'm sure, 5 years old, maybe younger, working.
You see those pictures of the kids, they're the chimney dusters. They're just sitting down there covered in coal. Like,
the conditions were just absolutely horrible. The pay was horrible. Everything horrible. So, the labor unions came along to help change all that. To bring the workers together and help them stand up for themselves. Say, hey, we're not going to take this shit anymore. You're going to pay us good. You're going to give us, good working conditions. We're going to do this. You're going to do that for us, or we're not going to work for you anymore. So, they started out with a really, really great intent. I'm sure there were dues that came along somewhere, but they did help pass a lot of the labor laws that we have today. And, as it said,
here we have OSHA.
Yeah, and as it says here, the unions were part of putting together the 5-day work week. They weren't solely responsible for it, but part of it came from labor relation negotiations. Not overworking workers. Hey, you can't force them to work 12 hours a day for 50 cents. And so 7 days a week. So that they helped that come along. Overtime rules and pays and stuff like that, they were a part of, and they did help get a lot of what's the word? Laws. There was another word I wanted to use, but
regulations.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's almost that, but not what I wanted to use. But anyway, they did help get a lot of laws put together and passed that did benefit the American worker. I will 100% give them that. However, along the way, capitalism, and I am a capitalist, but I still feel some people take it too far. Capitalism got in the way, and these people in these unions found out, man, like, we can charge these people, get a whole bunch of them together, and we can do a really good job for ourselves, and we can up here, right here, pay politicians money to do things that we want for them. And if you're a union follower, and we can launder money for the mafia, so we're perfectly set up for that. But so those are the pros, and I'll go back over them again right here.
We got the cons down here. Don't forget about the cons.
I know. I'm going to touch back on the pros real quick. So the pros, it says they increase pay and benefits for workers. Unions help set up formal processes for disputes and complaints. If you have a grievance or an issue at work, they help you get with your management team or whatever to discuss that without fear of you being punished or fired or talked bad to or whatever. They help make political organizing easier. They take some of the money from the dues that they get from the union members, and they give that to politicians that align with the majority's views and would do what they think would do the most for what they think will benefit them as the union or on a personal level, whatever case it may be. Regardless, I'm completely against pro number 3. I don't even know why that is even a pro. And the last one, they help set norms that extend to the rest of the economy. As I just said, they were part of helping put together the 5-day work week, overtime rules, minimum wages, that type of stuff. And of course, you could see they, also were a part of helping OSHA guidelines. So, right there, I think right there is the number one reason not to unionize. They fucking helped OSHA. You know what I mean? No,
But dude, talk about overtime though, man. We're gonna pay drivers overtime. Oh, you've driven over 8 hours today. Over 40 hours, you get time and a half, mile and a half.
No, they don't. Drivers, they fall under. There is I'd have to go look it up. I used to know by heart, but under the tax code, labor law, some shit. Transportation workers, including people that like work on rail, taxi cabs, some other stuff, and it's real intricate, but they are only paid straight pay. They are not paid time and a half for, or do not have to be paid time and a half for overtime.
I've never been paid overtime. I've worked jobs where I'd be hitting that 40-hour mark, and they're like, "Go home."
You couldn't. When I last worked a hourly job, they couldn't make me leave. Like, dude, I love being hourly. Pay me hourly and tell me that you allow overtime. Like, you will.
Dude, my dad worked at Delta. He would take on random projects just to clock in like an extra 20 hours of overtime.
Bro, I'm telling you,
man, Christmas ain't free.
They would lock the doors when they saw me getting out of my car. Like, oh shit, here he comes again. Do another 15 hours. You fucking right.
Rob coming in from the roof.
I've been on overtime since Wednesday morning. Here it is Saturday. So either way, yeah. On to our cons here. As you see, this first one, it says unions make it harder to promote great workers and get rid of not so great workers. That is very, very true. Unions work on a seniority thing, which I actually dealt with at McLean. That's how McLean did stuff was seniority. But what that means is you'll get someone that is a complete flipping idiot, and they could get promoted up over you to a position that you may be way more qualified for, but only because they have more time in the union and seniority, and they have to have the qualifications to move into the position, but even if they're not the best candidate, they're going to get put in that position because of their seniority. So,
well, dude, that's what I was bringing up before. Like, if this union starts, then everybody's pretty much at ground zero. And unless they figure out a way to like truly prove like a difference between a 30-year driver and a 2-year driver, everybody's gonna be on ground zero at that point, man. Like, and that's like I said, there's gonna be really good drivers in there. There's gonna be some really, really, really bad drivers in there. But who's to say the difference?
No, you're right. It's honestly, in the driver realm, it's really not that hard, because every time it comes to unions with drivers, it's always an hourly pay thing. And drivers, even at like McLean, and I think I've heard unions are set up like this too. At McLean, you had tiers, and for them, I think you maxed out at 3 years. Yeah. So the first tier, you made X amount of money, as a driver, no matter how many hours you worked, how many loads you did, like your pay was this much. And we got paid by piece, weight, stop, and miles. And then when you got to tier 2, which was after your first year, then you got paid more. And then once you hit your third year, you maxed out. So 3-year employees made the same, or 20-year employees made the same as 3-year employees at McLean. Now, I will say a lot of them did complain about that, and I can understand that and see that. Not, after 3 years, you don't get another raise, but they were fixing that. But point is when it comes to like drivers and shit, it's much easier as far as, I wouldn't say promoting, because if you're promoted from a driver, you're into the office, So I think this really has more to do with the office stuff, But
does the union step in to a company's back house operations and control all this?
No, but okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if someone unionizes, that means you're independent, correct?
What do you mean? You're you the employee?
If a union can't step in on a company, but I'm a driver, that I would have to be an owner operator, no? in order to be a part of this union, or can I be a part of this union and
No.
like work for this company and then just come in and be like, hey,
No, so the way unions work, and again, you know, I just done a little bit of research on this today, and this is just a quick synopsis, but the way they work is any company anywhere, like Freight Mango, if a bunch of your employees say we want to be unionized, they go to a union and they tell a union they want to be unionized, and then the union goes up to the company, and like they can't go in the building. Like there's laws about what the union can do and how close they can get to the property. But
so like Kill the Irishman, they stand outside and call bullshit.
yes, that's how they do. They stand outside, they pass out cards, and they have to get at least 30% of the employees that are trying to unionize to sign those cards.
Oh,
And then they can put it forth to have an election for the union to be able to actually step in, or they'll have an election for the union to actually be able to ask everybody else and hold a formal election for all the employees of where they want to unionize. Then it has to be 50% plus one vote have to say they want to unionize, and then the company has no choice but
whoa,
no choice at all.
All right,
Dude, that's the thing that I don't like, and my biggest thing against this, bro. And this is another thing that I love to bring up with drivers and anybody in this industry, brokers too, complain about pay. It's like, you know what? That's what a free market is. Like you're
but like that's so
free
close, dude. Like I could not imagine being a company owner of like a fleet of 250 drivers, and there's just some dude out there that's like, yeah, no, this sucks. Let's unionize. He just, you know,
once that process starts, it is very, very hard for a company to get out from underneath it. Like I read it. There are more laws. There are more laws against a company, a business owner, not trying to get away from a union than there is for a union for a union coming into a company. Like it's pretty much like, we want to unionize, we walk in, we take a vote, they want to do it, we fucking do it. If you're a company, like it's like divide by 2, the square root of 50, you know, trigonometry this, astrophysics that, you know, jump around twice, take a left turn, you know, put one foot in, put one foot out. It's freaking nuts, man. Nuts.
I couldn't imagine dealing with that with the Jimmy Hoffa back in the day. Like, here's a bunch of money. You do what we say, or you don't.
Oh, well, yeah.
Either way, we win. I want your business.
Back then it was a lot different. They would just.
It sounds like a Walmart to me. Hey, we'll put your product on the shelf. All right, yeah. Either we're just going to recreate it for way cheaper, or we're going to buy you out.
But
either way, you're going out of business. You're ours.
There's our first con. You know, like you see, unions make it harder to promote great workers and get rid of not so great workers. So this also prevents you as an employer. You know, Hunter comes to work, he just sits at his fucking desk and twiddles his thumbs all day and doesn't do shit. You can't just walk up to him and say, Hunter, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You can't, because he's part of a union. You got to go through some process and show all this proof that Hunter's a worthless sack of nothing before you can fire him. And so, I mean, again, like I do not think that it is okay for anybody to step into someone else's company and say, this is what you have to do. Like, even if it's for the employees, like I don't agree that. I don't really want to get political here, but this to me pushes towards the S and the C word, and I'm not going to say it, but we'll just say that's the way I kind of feel about that. Is someone else getting involved in stuff that they shouldn't be getting involved in. Either way, amen.
Mr. Markle, amen to that.
Lobbyists, like, you're right, they do, bro. I have lobbyists, period, for everything, man. I think they're up there with lawyers and insurance agents. You know what I mean? Like, just like the worst, man. Not saying that like there's not, you know, insurances people are not good, but like the industry, you know what I mean? Like the industry of that, they're just absolutely horrible, man. Unions can require dues and fees that some workers may not want to pay. To me, this is pretty much known, man. I mean, if I think people that don't even know anything about the union have heard the term union dues, you know. So, and I actually was curious, obviously, about this. It's like, you know, how much is it? And I looked it up, and I will say it's not that bad. From what I saw, the average is 1.5 to 2.5 times your or percent of your wage or whatever. You know what I mean? Which again, most of these people are hourly. So if you're $25 an hour, 1.5%, I think it was like 50 cents. You know what I'm saying? So it really comes out to nothing, you know what I mean? And even if you make, 60 grand a year, that 1.5%, comes out to nothing. So I will say that I found that pretty surprising that the dues were pretty damn cheap as far as it goes to this stuff. However, I did find something. Sorry, I'm reading this right here. I did find a thing that says there are different kinds of like union members. Like you can be in a union, but kind of be separated from them. I don't want to get too much into it, but basically you're kind of like a half union member. And so there's also, and even those people, you have to pay dues.
It's probably a dude that pays the dues, but he just doesn't show up to the meetings.
No, it's that woman.
Back pocket.
So what it is they still like will do stuff for him because he's a union member. So like they'll still help him, advocate for stuff and all these other things. But, he just doesn't get all the benefits as much as the other guys do. You know what I mean? They don't push as hard for them or whatnot. So either way, however, there are also instances where if a company is unionized and you don't want to be in the union, then like you can say that I don't want to be a part of the union. I don't want to do anything that they have not going on. If that company is unionized, you still have to pay those dues. And again, like that's something else that two of my friends at UPS are probably paid. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's cheap, man. I mean, I really was surprised, Chris, how cheap the dues are, man. I really was. I will say that. But either way, you don't even have to be in the union, and you can still be required to pay dues. Just because you work for that company and that company is unionized. And again, like there's something else being forced on you as a worker, and you don't want, and whether you want it or not. Now there can be the argument that if you don't want that, don't go to that job. And I mean, to me, like, I don't know. I can see that, but I mean, who's going to miss out if it's a good paying job or you really need a job?
I was about to say, if it makes sense, it makes sense. Like,
yeah. So
can't beat them, join them.
But either way, like I said, see right here, Con, they can, they require you to pay dues and fees that some workers may not want to pay. Like I said, they may not want you to argue on their behalf or none of that other crap. You know what I mean? They just want to stay out of it. But if your buddies decide to unionize, you're stuck paying those dues just like they are. And again, when they went up to the pro number 3, man, those dues and stuff could go to things you don't agree with. Go to political contribution you don't agree with. They could go to other organizations that you may not align with because of your personal religious or ethnic beliefs. So there's one of the cons right there. They lead to a closed culture that makes it hard to diversify the workforce and weed out bad actors. I agree. I agree with that. It does. Once the union, they are really tight-knit people. If you've ever been to a union event, and I never have, but I have heard about them, these folks are really, really, really tight-knit. It is the good old boys and girls club. You know what I mean? And it does. Once you get in there and you get mixed in, it's just like in any other little club, man. It makes it hard for other people to get in the club and to advance. And
it's like going to the Legion.
Yeah, and it's like it said earlier, the seniority thing. They mainly promote from seniority and stuff, and that can be hard to diversify the workforce. And to me, diversify isn't just about skin color and religious and all this other BS that everybody thinks. Like diversification is everything. It's personality, it's character, it's education, time in service, knowledge. Like all of this stuff. Diversifying is not just about the color of your skin and what country you come from. So, and I, to me, that is what this is saying, because it doesn't say anything about any of these stuff I just mentioned. So, it makes it hard to diversify the workforce, with people that have been there and know what they're doing, versus the ones that don't and just have been there for a certain amount of time to get that stuff. And again, to touch back on the bad actor thing, makes it hard for you to fire people. It makes it so difficult. You got to go through all these processes and have all this proof, as I said earlier, just to get rid of someone when you and everyone else around knows that they're a worthless sack of nothing. So, there's
just a cooler version of bureaucracy, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's all it is. This is my favorite one right here. And it is probably what I think is, I wouldn't say the biggest, but it rolls into the cost that no one thinks about when it comes to unions. And that is, it's not just to you, the union worker, when if you decide to strike or whatnot, it's not just to the company who has to pay, higher wages and taxes and all these things without no say in that decision at all. Well, I mean, they do, because they come to an agreement, but you get what I'm saying? Like, they're forced to do that stuff. And also the cost that, again, we're all consumers. When these companies have to pay higher wages and fork out more benefits, do all this stuff, do you think they just eat that? That they're just like, oh, we don't care. We'll go ahead and suck that up and take it out of our fat corporate bonuses at the end of the year. Fuck no. You know who pays for that? I do. And you do. When they sell this stuff to somebody and they have to charge them more. And you say, oh, well, I work for Ford and I get a discount on cars anyway. Well, okay, good for you, greedy. But everybody else isn't. And I'll tell you this, speaking about the auto manufacturer thing. Do you want to know why the big three have not been in the number one spot for auto manufacturers in quite a long time? Because they're unionized. And do you want to know why? Because union workers, they make them pay them whatever fee it is, and whether they're worth it or not is not my concern, but they make them pay a higher wage. Toyota and Honda and all these other people come here and they put their plants in right to work states that don't unionize, and they still pay people a per.
Yeah, that's why Nissan right here in Tennessee.
They're able to produce their product at a cheaper price point. And so they're able to sell it cheaper, and that means they sell more. And when you sell more, you become the number one. And if you don't believe me, go and look at the data. I deleted or closed out the window, and I couldn't find it again. But I thought that was really interesting. It was like one paragraph where it was talking about the unintended costs that come from labor or from unions, and they use the union auto worker strike right now as an example of why Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, like they've not been across the board, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, like Ford controlled it for a minute, Dodge, Chevy, it was always them three at the top. That's why they're called the big three. It's not no more, it's Toyota and Honda. And I think they were the third place if you run like an average, but any fucking way. So
Ford got something else going on, man. Have you ever seen where anytime that the U.S. is about to hit like a dip, or if there's like a recession coming on, they take out a massive loan because they know in that time when the economy hits, they're going to be covered and they're going to have the best interest rates and they'll survive. The government's never going to let those companies fail. I mean, the only time we're seeing them failing now is because this whole crypto mining thing, and so they didn't have enough chips. Like Ford literally had a football stadium full of trucks that they would have to bring one to the plant using the same chip, bring it back, put it in another. Like, it's nuts, dude. There's but they're also computers now, dude. They're also computers. Like with my fucking Jeep, I couldn't even start it up because my Jeep just said, "Hey, I'm gonna forget that," which is cool, like it didn't get stolen, but shit, it's a lot of unnecessary stuff.
Your Jeep is fixed. Quit complaining.
No, it's not, dude. But I'm saying, man, like if I'm a Ford truck man, I don't want to spend $80,000 on a rocket ship.
Do you want to know?
I want a truck that is a truck. I
will say this. I'd have to go back and check and see if they have since then. But I will say, as far as Ford goes, do you know why their vehicles? They may not be anymore, but for a long time after the recession, or through the recession and afterward, that Ford prices were higher than Chevy or GM than Dodge. And that was because they didn't take a bailout when Chrysler did and
that's
Chevy.
What I'm saying. They took out a loan.
On that loan, that's I mean, I got to give them that smart. Just like you said, they're going to get it now when the interest rate's low. And then when the shit hits the fan and Dodge and GM or whoever else, Apple, I don't know, whoever goes and says we need a loan, they're going to get it at a ridiculous interest rate, or they're going to have to get a government bailout, which don't even give me on bailouts, dude. I hate to say it. This makes me sound heartless, but I don't think the government should be saving anybody's business. Again, free market. If Bobby down the street, if he can't keep his business open, Uncle Sam don't come in there and give him money. And, and they say, oh, well, Ford employs a lot of people. That's true. But if Ford can't keep their doors open, then my tax dollars shouldn't be going to bail their ass out. Maybe you should not unionize and pay all them high-ass fees, and you wouldn't be closing your doors or so. But anyway, that ain't got nothing to do with them closed doors. But either way,
shout out Detroit.
Yeah, is unions do. There's added cost into that people don't see. And I know that workers, the guys on the bottom, they don't care. They think every business is just rolling in money, and they've got a bank vault and somewhere down in the basement, just millions of dollars just sitting there. And so, they can just take the biggest hit of all hits. And as long as you get what you want, it doesn't matter. And I'm telling you that, every reaction has whatever that saying is.
Every action has a reaction.
Thank you so much. And so, everything that you do with these unions, bringing them in and all that stuff, all the things, those have adverse effects on that company. They may not be in a position to pay you a higher wage, even though you think that you deserve it, and you very well deserve it. Golly, words are hard. That doesn't mean that company has got all that extra money to pay you those wages, or pay all those extra benefit fees, or all these things, and I'm not saying that you're not worth it and that you're not do it, but my point is it's not always as cut and dry as you think. That money has to come from somewhere, and if the company is not going to take a loss on it, they're going to pass that cost on to the people that they do business with. And the same thing, even if you're at a company that isn't unionized, that company may have to do layoffs because a company they're buying something from is unionized, and their costs are so much higher for what they're buying now because that other company's having to cover the union costs, that they can't afford to pay those higher costs without laying off workforce. So you see, like this thing can be a snowball effect. And I also want to point out that unions, they have a vested interest in protecting your job. They do, because without you, they don't get paid, or, they don't get their dues and stuff. But when it's all said and done, what did they do for the yellow guys? What have they done for other people? And I actually want to bring that yellow up before we end this, because this was actually, the article I read earlier was what made me think about, but this yellow thing is what kind of pulled all this together for me. And this says it all about the effects that a union can continue to have. And the first thing I want to say is that, that wasn't it right there. So, yellow, whether it's true or not, I don't think it's a lot true, because we already knew they were in trouble. But I read a story earlier that one of Yellow's press releases was that the fear of the strike from the unions was what led to a lot of their customers. Look at the thing, dude. I don't know.
Dude,
It's just an ad, bro. I can't control it, dude. It's just an ad.
That's the algorithm, brother.
I can't control it, dude. I don't know why this is on.
I'll just scroll down. Keep on scrolling.
Oh my Lord, dude, that's the most great. And but you see, look, it's on a truck driver site, though.
Hey, those ads are generated by Google.
I saw you giggle and run. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, oh, that's what's
okay.
Anyway, so Yellow says that the threat of their drivers striking was one of the final blows, because it forced a lot of their customers to jump ship all at one time, obviously because they had stuff that they were still trying to ship, things that were on Yellow trucks already, and they needed to make sure they could continue doing business. So when those people jumped ship because of the threat of that union strike, Yellow lost all of that money. And, I said, it wasn't what caused the thing to shut down, but I think it was part of the final nail in their coffin. But what this article is, you can see it says former yellow drivers are being denied jobs over previous union ties. And now I will say this, although it is not, or it is against the law for a company to not allow a union to come in and do its thing, it is not against the law for you to hire a union worker if you are not a unionized company, or if they were a former unionized worker. And that's exactly what this article is about. This is just talks about one guy, but they say they have interviewed others, and here these yellow drivers are going to interview for other driving jobs, and they're being denied the jobs because they were unionized at Yellow, and these companies don't want that shit in there. Like, you know, they don't.
Oh, they think it's going to leak into their operation.
I'm sorry to say it, man, dude. I mean, I gotta, dude. It's unions are one of these things. Like, once you're union, you're always union, and so like, and it is, bro. I've heard when the place I was at, man, you know, those two guys, they were a union before they were from New York. You know, I mean, go figure. It's a huge union place, but they had moved down here, and we had heard about from our transportation manager, like there have been other drivers that have came in and that have been union, and it just turns things bad because they start talking to some of them about a union, and some are like, oh yeah, that's really great, that's cool. And other ones are like, no, we don't want that. And then it creates a unbalanced culture. You know what I'm saying? And it creates problems. And my point is once union, always union, as they do. They go into a job, they don't like it. They say, oh man, it should be like this, man. And they try to unionize. And again, companies, they know what that shit means, man. They know what it means. They know it means more money out of their pocket. And I hate to sound like I'm not pro worker, because I am. But I'm a huge person about the economy. I really am. If the economy does well, the country does well, and that's a fact. Like anytime everybody's making money, things are cheap, everybody's spending, things are great in this country. Levels of poverty are down, like things are good because people are too busy working and they're too busy enjoying their lives of spending money. And one of the things that destroys the economy is when companies have to heighten their prices. Just like we're going through right now. What do you think inflation is? You know, all these things going up, just magically going up. That's why I say magically. I don't know where they fucking just decide, hey, we're going to start charging more money this week. I don't know where that comes from. But, we're seeing it now. You know, look what it's doing to the economy. Inflation hit because all these companies had to drive up their prices. And that's exactly what unions do. When they come in there, they force these companies, I don't care what you say, to heighten their prices to their customers. Everybody does it. Walmart does it. Target does it. Burger King does it. Jimmy's Burger Stand down the street does it. If Performance Food Group comes in next week and says, hey, we're charging you $20 more on your case of beef, you think Jimmy's is going to say, okay, no worries. No, Jimmy is going to figure out how many burgers he gets out of that box of beef, and he is going to proportionally add X amount of pennies or quarters to the price of his burger to make up for the extra $20.
It's just, man. And we talked about it before, dude. Like, there's been project delays over pennies on the dollar just for overhead costs. I mean, like general ROI, because it adds up. So yeah, I mean, shit.
So it's pretty much what I wanted to close on right here was these yellow drivers being hold on. Did you read the article on FreightWays where one of the heads of Yellow told customer service and dispatch start telling customers to start looking for new carriers because they're closing down? Then by early afternoon that day, they tried to backtrack what was said. I think that was the final nail in the coffin. Plus an email that was.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, no, I didn't. I didn't read that article, but I heard people talking about it. And Chris, I'm not saying that the union strike was for sure the final nail. Like, I mean, I just think it,
I think it's more of the backtrack and the reputation that Yellow already had. Like YRC had been going down for a long time.
And although I haven't seen this, I mean, I will rebut with this, and this is just me being a critical thinker here. What if they were told to send that email? Everybody was going to strike. And they said, well, hey, let's at least try to do right by our customers and say, hey, you need to find someone else because all these drivers are going to strike and we're not going to be able to do your stuff. So, I mean, maybe that's why they sent out the email. Regardless, if you know anything about Yellow, man, they have been struggling for a long time. I literally talked about an article on the show. It was titled Yellow, a demise 2 decades in the making. So they were already on their way out. It was just a culmination of several things happening at once. And the threat of the strike is what brought everything to light. And I think that really, I guess if you say anything was the final nail in the coffin, it was the publicity of all that was going on. You know, I really think that's what, you know, again, it brought all the attention to it. You know, people started paying attention. You know, I mean, most of their customers probably had no fucking idea that people were talking about striking and stuff. You know what I mean? They don't, most customers don't worry about what's going on in your internals of your company. As long as you're taking care of what they do business with you for, they don't give a shit.
Well, I will say this. I did have a customer like 2 years ago that I ran LTL for, and he went and got a quote through Yellow, left me for like a week, and he called me a week later and was like, yeah, I went through Yellow and that shit got all fucked up. I couldn't talk to anybody. It took weeks to get there. So, I mean, it's no mystery to anybody that this happened, but
no, it's not, bro. You're right. It's not. And Chris, you're right too, man. It was 20 years of mismanaging, and they did a lot of stupid things, man. They were COVID crusaders before COVID was COVID. And what I mean by that is they were spending money like it was COVID, like 20 years before COVID. They made a lot of stupid acquisitions. They got rid of some business things that, you know, may or may not could have helped them in the long run. You're right. They had a revolving door of CEOs and executive personnel. So you're right, man. It was, like I said, 2 decades in the making. And I did see that the CEO is getting investigated. And I want to say that I saw something yesterday about Yellow as a company, like they were starting to dig more into them. And, you know, maybe it was about what you're talking about, the embezzling money, but I know it had to do with money. So honestly, I see shit about Yellow. I usually just scroll away from it, but this one came to my email, and it was the subject matter was former Yellow drivers are being denied jobs. And I was like, oh shit, really? So that's really the only reason I talked on this one. I don't really try to talk on Yellow stuff because what more is there to fucking say? And they're out of business. So all I say is I feel sorry for the people that lost their jobs, you know. But I'm not blaming unions on that. Not at all. You know, I'm not saying that. But either way, there we go. Pros and cons of unions, you know, touch base back on. They you know, they do help with getting you the wages and the benefits and some time off and the things that matter to you. You know, they can be a big help in that. You know, they set some norms for the economy. You know, like I said, they're partially responsible for the 40-hour work week and the 5-day work week and overtime pay and all those things like that. But, you know, there's negatives against it. You know, you may not be a union person and may be forced to be in a union and pay the dues for that. Although they are small, we did find that out, that the union dues are small. Also, you know, they may give to causes that you're not aligned with, you know, you don't believe in, you know, whether it be political or religious or you know, I don't know, maybe you don't want to feed the homeless and they give money to homeless other. I don't know. Could be anything. And finally, and I think that this is the real big one. It's kind of a 2-point for me. To me, they interfere with the free market and they interfere with a business owner's ability to operate a business as they see fit, as long as they are abiding by the laws. I mean, I'm not condoning anyone operating illegally. And of course, if you see anyone doing some illegal shit on the job, man, you know, not paying people the way they should, or, you know, employing whatever, you know, by all means report it. But if they're above board, man, and your money's pretty good, and, you know, I don't see the point of going and bitching and complaining. But that also has an effect on the company itself, you know, and their customers, because they have to heighten their prices and change a lot of things, you know, to pay you the extra wages that the union has argued for, the benefits or all that stuff like that. You know, that may also cause them to lay off other people to help pay for those wage increases, just for you. Because I will say this, just because you as a driver are unionized does not mean that the office personnel is. Actually, I don't think the office personnel would be. So, you know, there's another catch there. You know what I mean? What you being a union worker could affect your coworkers as well. So you could benefit, but somebody else could not benefit. So, you know, there is that. You're right. I know D like fucking everybody, Chris, like everybody, yellow, 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 yellow. I'm like, can we talk about green, blue, red, black? Like, we got so many other colors we could talk about. They're so pretty. Like, why are we talking about freaking yellow, man? That was so annoying, Chris.
I wonder if there are names for sale. Can we be yellow? Can I get that daddy.com URL? You know, give me that domain.
Oh, my God, bro. That's good shit, man. Anyway,
it's like on South Park.
I'm going to chop off here.
Washington Redskins, go fuck yourself.
You better stop, man. You're good. Get us canceled. No, man. Anyway, pretty cool, man. Nice little chill show. I mean, there's a lot more stuff we could deep dive in on with these unions and stuff, but you know, I mean, I just want to like touch on the pros and the cons, and you know,
yeah. I mean, dude, definitely very interesting. Like I told you, man, I asked this question like a couple years ago. Like, do you ever think that truckers would unionize? People are like, fuck no. But here we are. You know, like
industry as a whole, it'll never happen. And actually, we can end on that, dude. I wish you would have brought that up earlier. As a whole, it will never happen. Never, ever in a million years. That's why it hasn't happened yet. These unions, they go after these companies, man, you know, that are relatively small and stuff, man. Anyway, anyway, they go after these smaller, I'm gonna say companies, but areas, you know what I mean, or certain regions and shit, you know, where it's like a terminal of 20 or 30 people or 50 or 100 people, you know what I mean? But that's their thing. They wouldn't be able to unionize the entire driver force, because also most of these places that are unionized, they're paid by the hour. You know, that's why you don't see Knight and CR England and all that shit. They're not unionized because those guys are, you know, they're not paid by the hour. They're paid by, you know, the mile or whatever it is. And that's a little harder because to be able
they're out there buying companies, man. They're making their own union.
To be able to do that and unionize something like that, it would flip the entire industry and the economy on its head. Like, you want to talk about ramifications, and man, dude, like I don't even want to think about I saw
Facts.
That is true.
Facts.
That is true. But yeah, man, if they I don't think they ever will, the industry as a whole. I mean, I don't know. It wouldn't make sense. A lot of people think it is. I was like, oh yeah, man, if we had a union and we got paid $5 a mile everywhere we went. All right, cool. Again, who the fuck is paying you that $5 a mile? Who's paying that? I am. You are, the consumer, the shipper. Where do you think they just gonna magically come up with that money? No, they're gonna fire people. People are gonna stop doing business with them. Companies are gonna shut down. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I will say that about Americans, bro, and I'm a proud American, but we are the most self-centered, greedy sons of bitches on the planet. It's the entire human species. Like, we don't think about anything past 2 feet in front of us, man, about who it affects, those around us. So something like that I wouldn't say utterly destroy the country, but it would do a lot of damage to the economy. And again, I'm an economy person. So DOT compliance, they did get approved to buy all their property for, golly. Dang, did you see that, Chris? Look at that. 1.5 billion. Oh, that is you, Chris. Oh, wait, what? Huh? What? Y'all are confusing me here. Oh, it is from Chris saying Joseph. Oh, there it is right there. I didn't show Joseph. That's just buying some of the location your property must still have. Jesus Christ, $1.5 billion. Look at that. Man, that's nuts. I need some of that money. Anyway, with that, we're going to do our commercials real quick before we end the show, and then we're going to bid you adieu. Tomorrow we have Rob Carpenter on. Joseph, I hope you really watched that show. Rob Carpenter is a safety guy, man. Huge into safety. I think you two may know each other. I'm not sure, but man, he puts out some great content. Really on point with a lot of stuff he says. So I really hope you watch tomorrow, Joseph. You too, Chris. Man, y'all get a lot of stuff out of that guy. And Joseph, I know you'll have some amazing comments to give him. And hopefully, Joseph and I will actually get together and make a time for him to be on this damn show. So, there is that. Oh, Joseph says something else. It's cutting off. I'm sorry, man. I don't know what to tell you, Joseph. I don't know. I'm sorry. We're about to end it anyway, man. You just join us tomorrow, Joseph. Like I said, when Rob Carpenter comes on, chime in so you can talk compliance and he can talk safety. You are, yes. That's good. I love Joseph, man. You got to talk to him one time, Hunter. He's a super cool dude.
I'm gonna go and add this cat.
He's a good guy, man. I like him a lot. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt that he calls Texas home right now, even though he's not a Texan. But that's points for him.
T for Tennessee. That's all I'm saying.
Oh
T
my
for
Jesus
Tennessee.
Christ. I'm gonna pull you off the stream. You keep talking that shit.
Yeah, good luck.
Anyway, so hey, we're gonna do our commercials and end this thing. Hold on, man. I gotta pull Joseph's comment off here. All right, AccuBid Pro. Talk about them all the time. App for you drivers out there, you owner operators. Help you guys figure out your cost per mile, keep control of your expenses, and help you to be a more profitable company. And that is what you are in this business for, is to make money. And AccuBid Pro is going to help you do that. Information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen there.
Don't be a victim of cheap freight anymore. Take back control. These are turbulent times for the transportation industry, with companies merging or even closing their doors. Whether you're going out on your own or leasing on with a new company, know your operating costs. Look out for you and bid better with AccuBid Pro.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Before we get on to the next one, I'm going to see what's Joe saying. He is, yes. Talk about no such thing as DOT scores. We are going to talk about DOT scores, and you're going to tell us all about them when you're on, Joseph. All right, so my wife is in here yelling at me, Hunter, because of you. I just want you to know that, man.
Because of me.
All right. Yeah, I'm just blaming you for it. Freight management
Wow.
systems. They got incredible TMS out there for all you logisticians. Really great software. You hear me talk about them twice in the show. Really the best thing for you to do is to go and check them out. Website scrolling across the bottom of the screen with their phone number and their email, and make sure you tell them that the super hip cats from the Logistics Lounge sent you over. There we go. I'm trying to end this damn show. Freaking Chris and Joseph. Oh my God. No, I'm playing. We love you guys, man. We love you. We love you guys. We really do. Thanks, God. Chris, you need to do an episode with you guys on the price of tractors dropping in price in the flood. Dude, we literally just talked about that shit last night. Seriously. I swear to you. That's last night. We talked about it.
We can have him back on.
We can't have him back on. Freight management system. They're amazing. Oh, Freight Man, yes. Sorry. That's Henry Sheldon, Joseph. Go look him up, man. He's on LinkedIn. He's been in the industry for 3 decades. I mean, dude's been a trucker, done all kinds of stuff, man. Henry Sheldon. Go look him up, Joseph. Really great guy. I think you would enjoy connecting with him. So with that said, we're going to bid adieu, and we're going to get out of here, and we are going to see all of you tomorrow night. Again, we're going to have Rob Carpenter on. He is about safety, and I love safety. As a driver, is one of the biggest things that I was about, man. Actually, the number one thing I was about. So really excited to have him on. And Hunter, do you want to take us out?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody have a great night. Keep on
Yes,
trucking.
sir.
We'll see you tomorrow.